Sairam, let's start the session by chanting Sai Gayatri. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vitmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prajotayat. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shri Sairam. Good evening and welcome to the 7th episode of the Prema Pravaham Satsang series, offering our collective salutations at the divine lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan. Sadhguru Madhusudan Sai has quoted a beautiful incident in his book, From the Heart. It was in May 2014 at Kodaikanal. Swami said, "Until yesterday, you were known because of me. You were called a Sai student or a Sai devotee. But today, I'll be known because of you." Looking at the fruit that has fallen on the ground, one can easily tell which tree it belonged to. So, this Guru Purnima, let's remind ourselves that our lives must reflect our Guru's love and compassion, and let the people who see us realize how great our Master is in his all glory. As I take this opportunity to introduce the first speaker for the day, I am reminded of a quote from Khalil Gibran, which says, "Work is love made visible." Brother Subash CV is an alumnus of Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Prashanti Nilayam campus. He recollects that he joined the institute as any other ordinary student, but left the place with more than a degree. He had found his master. Life has not been the same for him since then. He spent 21 years in the corporate world and then stepped out to become an entrepreneur. Today, he is a professional coach for leaders and a mentor for aspiring coaches. He is also a certified healer. He is an INSEAD alumnus, master certified coach from International Coaching Federation, and earlier as a corporate leader and now as a coach. He lives by the ideals of his guru, Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. His entire family is on the Sai path, and his son, Brother Anirudh, is also a Sai alumnus. Brother Subash has served in Bhagwan's mission in various roles like youth coordinator, spiritual coordinator, and also as alumni coordinator. Currently, as Swami is grooming his children to become the future leaders through Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence, Brother Subash is also involved in nurturing these young children with his expertise and has delivered a training program to them on the topic Coaching Skills for Young Leaders. Over to Brother Subash.
Subash, brother, you are on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So, Om Shri Sairam. I offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of my divine master, Bhagwan Sri Sai Baba. A warm welcome to everyone who is on this call, and also belated Guru Purnima greetings to all. Guru Purnima, though we celebrated it yesterday, I think the celebrations must go on. That is our commitment to our master, our Sadguru. Thanks for that kind introduction. As I saw the photographs, as I was being introduced, I was overwhelmed with the emotions of what a life Swami has blessed me with. So while it is a great blessing to address fellow travelers on the spiritual path on a day after Guru Purnima, I think it's a bigger blessing for me personally that Swami has blessed me with so much of experiences that I could speak on this day with all of you. I could share my beautiful journey with Mother Sai. Somebody said, I asked for all things in life. I asked God for all things in life, but God gave me life so that I could enjoy everything in life. That pretty much summarizes my journey to Swami and the journey thereafter. I was born in a small village in Kerala. I studied in primary school in Malayalam medium, then moved school some 7 8 times. CBSE, state board, multiple things because dad was in army, transferable job, some of the other constraints. So my schooling was a continuous struggle after fifth grade that went on till 11th and 12th, to some extent also into my degree. Along the way, I heard of Bhagwan Sri Siti Sai Baba when I was in Hyderabad. So when I was in Hyderabad, some of our family friends were Swami's devotees. I wasn't, to be frank. And my mom got involved with bhajans because mother is a singer. So she got into seva and bhajans. But I kept kind of an arm's length from all the activities. The typical ego of a youngster or teenager. Till I reached Sri Satyasai Institute for my MBA. It's a long story. I landed there, but I'm just skipping all that part because some of our friends here would have heard that part from me. So once I landed there, mysterious are the ways the Lord pulls you towards Him. And also, one quote that I always quote in my professional work is, when the student is ready, the master manifests. But the difference between a normal master or a teacher vis-a-vis a Sadguru like Bhagavan is that even when you are not ready, he pulls you towards him. And in the first week of June 1988, I was at Prashant Nilayam as a student of Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning for MBA program. I stood away, looked at from distance to understand what is this whole mystery around the campus. I was at the campus for the first time, at the ashram. And I was at any ashram for the first time, for that matter. And, my background is also, I have been a communist activist when I was briefly in school in Kerala. And you know how Kerala politics is, even at the school and college level. And in fact, I won an election also. But it all kind of took a beautiful turn when Swami called our entire class for an interview. The entire group was in the interview room in the Prashanthi Nilayam, ashram. That small room where 28 of us and all our teachers were there. That was the first time I came close in the physical proximity of Swami. Again, I was sitting just few rows in the interview room, looking at Swami intensely, trying to understand. By then, something had started moving within me a week into the campus. Now, somewhere halfway through, Swami started looking at me because I was almost sitting straight to him, though little away. I kept getting his eye contact. Those of us who are familiar with this X-ray, right? I was experiencing the X-ray vision of Swami. I knew Swami was seeing through me. Somewhere in the middle of the interview, Swami kind of bent. Swami on the chair, all of us were sitting on the floor. Swami came a bit closer, looked into my eyes and said, I know you. I know your past. Forget the past. Be a good student. Now, those are the 4 lines that he said. So when he said, I knew you, I know you, I know your past. At least a lot of things that I had, spoken against Swami and some of the silly things that kept talking about Swami kind of replayed like it happens in the movie theater. A quick a quick rotation of the past scenes. Once that happened, I knew what he was referring to. Much later in life, I knew that he was not just talking about this life, he was also referring to all the prarabdhas from all my previous births. But that awareness came much later in life. Then Swami said, forget the past, be a good boy. Now I'm repeating this because when he said forget the past, something touched my heart. Now everything I share this, I get emotional and I can feel the energy right all through my body. Swami said, forget the past. That's when I first experienced the love of Swami. Now, till then, we were just exposed to the worldly love, loving mother, parents, relatives, grandmother, sister, others. But that was the first time I felt the love of the Divine Master. And the last line, he said, be a good boy. You know, from 1988 June till today, that has been my effort. It's only Swami can say in my thought, word, and deed, if I had been a good boy up to his very high standards. But I know for sure it has been a journey just to be a student of Sai, a Sai student, and then be a good boy. And that is again a summary of my journey since 1988. But when I walked out of that interview room, something touched my heart. That is something which only those of us who have had the blessing of experiencing that Swami's love can share that with me today. And as Sister Lakshmi said, I walked out, something touched in me, and I turned for better. So the journey since then has had its own share of ups and downs, especially when you're handling corporate leadership roles, 21 years. And then thereafter, 9 years of entrepreneurship. I don't come from an entrepreneurial family. All my relatives are from the salaried class, including my father who was in army. But it's Swami's grace. I know that Swami is with me. That keeps me going. And as a Swami student, I can still proudly say that I've still created a niche for myself in this space only as a Swami student. And I know it's only His grace that has brought me here. I'm also very aware that what got me here will not get me there. So my journey from where I was to till here also does not guarantee from where I want to be, which is what Swami expects from each one of us. And that is my lifelong journey. So, one of the early experiences also was that when, Swami used to walk around Darshan, June month was light in terms of crowd. Swami would spend a lot of time with us, with MBA boys, especially our class. So once Swami came close to me, extended his arm like that. And I was new, so I didn't know what to do. I just kept doing like this. And Swami extended his arm like that. So I thought Swami was asking for a letter and I was not carrying a letter. So my interpretation of that was, oh, I should have carried a letter. I had a good opportunity to give it to Swami. So I know I made a mental note that every time I should carry a letter, so that at least I have an opportunity to give it to Swami. But what Swami did that day got clarified way much later. I'll come back to that. This happened in 2011. Yeah. I'm also going to try and share some of my experiences with Swami. Also, how I have tried to live Swami's ideas in the outside world. Some of it would be of interest to the listeners here. One example, the memory takes me to where we were at a 5-star hotel in Chennai, where the bank had arranged for the review meeting, the quarterly review meeting where the numbers are discussed. And during the lunch break, I was going around picking up, very selectively some of the stuff. So my super boss, my boss, was just behind me. He said that I've always seen you being very selective when it comes to food. So don't you take non-veg? So I said, no, sir, I stopped non-veg when I joined Puttaparthi. Again, it was an inspiration from Swami. So then he said, why are you so selective about food? Then I said, I shared something with him. We went to the table and I shared. This happened at Puttaparthi hostel. When Swami was, had come to the hostel, he spent some time, gave a discourse. Then we all moved into the dining hall. So I was sitting against the wall, at least at the end of the table and chair, which was laid for Swami at one side of the wall, and I was on the totally opposite side. So Swami, as you all know, Swami takes very little. He took little bit. Then Swami started going around. Once by the time he came to that corner where we were all sitting, some of us, I'd kind of finished. All of us had finished food, but my plate was clean. So Swami looked at all of us, all our plates around me, and then he pointed to my plate. That's how you should eat. You should not waste food, he said. Instantly, some morsel, something was left in others' plate, but my plate was clean. So for me, it was an inspiration not to waste food since then. I don't waste food. And sometimes at home or elsewhere, I'm slightly obsessed with it. But that was a life lesson that Swami taught me on that evening. So I shared this with my super boss, saying that this is what happened. I know when Swami, he knows my connection with Swami, my affinity towards Swami. He said, so that's such a beautiful lesson, and that's something that we practice even today. But then he shared something, a typical leader, high performance leader. He said, that's what classical leadership is. How you motivate, you inspire your team member or a follower to stick to highest of values. And we all know, filling on desires, that Phyllis Special has written a wonderful book on how much Swami attaches importance to not wasting time, not wasting energy, not wasting money, not wasting food. Right? Swami said, we all can have everything that we want. Something like Gandhiji has said, there is enough for all our needs, but there is not enough for our greed. So Swami, I learned that valuable lesson in my very first year. Again, Swami's love. When the organizer, sisters and brothers asked me what should be the topic, I could not think of anything beyond Swami's love. Because when Swami calls ordinary mortals like us as Prema Suruplara or Divyatma Suruplara, I can't think of anything other than Swami being the ultimate embodiment of love. That's why the topic for the talk is also rightly titled as Sai's Love. And I've been very blessed to have that experience of the love of a divine master for his follower or for his student. We are just not a follower, we are Swami students. So that also reminds me when my first birthday after I joined, Swami, that evening, Swami was distributing mangoes. And you all know, Swami would distribute sweets, apple, mango, and a whole lot of other things. I remember when Swami even distributed rubber balls. So, I also had the opportunity to go around, pick up from the interview room and go around and distribute among the students. Once Swami was distributing mango. And, in my presence, Swami asked another brother from my classmate, he said, do you know why I'm distributing mango? He said, no, Swami. He said, it is his birthday. And no one knew, I had not shared that with anyone. This is that, as per the Malayalam calendar. So I didn't attach importance. At Prashanthi, we all celebrate on the English calendar so that, you maintain that periodicity. But Swami knew that it was my birthday and the family was celebrating back home. And I was praying to Swami. He said, it is his birthday today, that's why I'm distributing mango. For an ordinary student, this was demonstration of Swami's love for just one of his students. Once he joined there, like many of us devotees, all of us were attracted by this beauty of the experience of creation, whether it is vibhuti and bracelet and other things. So I had an old ring, which was a simple ring with an ordinary stone when I joined Puttaparthi. Somebody recommended it's good, good for you. And Swami would keep pulling my leg, saying that, is that an engagement ring? When is the marriage? And this like that. And the brothers, classmates and others around me would have a hearty laughter at my expense. Swami kept joking. Once during Dasara, Swami called us, the entire class, to the Purnachandra auditorium for some seva. So this was just before Dasara. So as you all know, we would get truckloads of dhotis and saris. So Swami would get us to unpack them, pack it in smaller lots, so that it can be carried around easily by students and others and can be distributed. Hundreds of people are devotees and poor are fed and distributed this. So we were given this opportunity to serve Swami unpacking, and Swami is moving around. Swami is pulling our legs, also giving some life lessons. One such experience was Swami was sitting on the chair talking while we were doing the seva. And I just crossed. I was just walking across Swami. There was a knife in front of, on my path. I saw that from the corner of my eyes. But I was busy. I was not present. I was not aware. And I was also kind of, more looking at Swami, listening to what Swami was saying. So though I saw this knife, I was not kind of used out by that knife. So when I just crossed, Swami said, "Hey, Subash, pick up that knife and keep it on the side." So today, this morning, I was co-facilitating a workshop on listening as a coaching skill for very senior leaders in the corporate. So we speak about 4 levels of listening. What I learned much later in my professional space, which is 4 space of listening, Swami was teaching me at that point of time. While I was listening to Swami, I was looking at Swami, Sudarshan, Sparshan, and Sambhashan with Swami. I also had to be present and aware of that knife there. And it was also a valuable lesson for me personally, saying that I need to take an action at that point of time. Because I know as a leadership coach working with senior leaders and business owners that one of the common things that people struggle with is procrastination. English language has got a very fancy name around procrastination. So I learned a very valuable lesson. So today's smallest thing, if I have to procrastinate, if I don't do it, even if I don't keep it aside, I'm aware. Do I do it now or do it later? Because I know somewhere above me or around me or within me, Swami is a witness to every thought, word, and action within me. And that comes with a lot of responsibility. And that has been a beautiful experience for me also in my life. Now, one of my favorite experience, something that I should share is also my first break. So, as I said, I joined as just a student of Sri Sathya Institute of Higher Learning. I was cautioned by well-wishers saying that just go there, get your MBA degree, come back. Don't get into anything else, right? I was really cautioned by well-wishers, well-meaning well-wishers. So when I came back for the first break, just before coming for the break, Swami has started talking to us, a lot of chances, a lot of love. So we were first reluctant to go home, some of us, including me. So first we prayed to Swami, no, Swami, let us stay back here because we didn't want to lose the joy of his proximity. And during vacations, anyway, the place, a lot of students would have gone home. We thought we'll have more of Swami and a lot of time and no pressure of classes. So we could spend more time at Mandir. Swami said, no, your parents are waiting. You all should go. So when Swami commanded, we went. So just a day or two before we were to take the bus to Hyderabad, where my parents were based out of, we were, sitting on the portico. Those days, the design was different before Kulwant Hall. So once Swami just came across, Swami looked at me slightly. I was sitting behind, very subtly, literally the subtlest of the messages. Swami said, "Be a good boy." He reminded me. I said, "Yes, Swami, please bless me. Please make sure that I don't disappoint you." This all happening heart to heart, mind to mind. So I was praying to Swami, "Swami, please make sure that you are responsible. Please take care of me." But then, he said something did he like this went up. So again, no one sitting around me got it, but I got the message. Now, by our family, we belong to Nair community from Kerala. By nature, we are non-vegetarians. As a very active sportsman during my school college days, I was non-vegetarian. For me, I thought this was a command from Swami. Personally, I thought rarely Swami asks anyone or insists anyone to quit something, right? Swami gives us that freedom to choose. So that's the Sadguru. But when Swami indicated very lovingly, up to you kind of a thing, I said, fine. So I stopped all sorts of non-vegetarian food from that point of time. So similarly, once we went home, my parents were surprised that you're not taking non-vegetarian, not even egg. I said, Swami is commanded. So then there is no conversation, there is no discussion. We met that family friend that I mentioned earlier, where my mom used to go for bhajans and service. So one of the family friend's daughter, she asked me, it's my age group, just 1 year younger to me. She asked me, so what is your opinion about Sri Sathya Sai Baba? So I said, I didn't want to tell that I'm fully into the Sai path. Because she has seen me in my earlier avatar. I said, good, I'm still trying to understand the phenomenon, something like that I said. So, some of the things some of me and another friend from the class who was from Hyderabad, we went on a ride on his Jeep. We spoke something. After all this, we came back to Puttaparthi. And Swami called me and another classmate brother together inside the room. So for us, once he called inside, we said, we have kind of survived the test, passed the test. Once you're inside, Swami said, Swami asked the other brother, saying that, what, when his parents asked him, why are you not taking non-vegetarian? You know what he said? He said, no. He said, Swami said. Then he said, what is the girl who asked me about what is your opinion about Satya Sai Baba? And I said, I'm still evaluating the phenomenon. So she has short hair, close family friends. So when that girl, she had a short hair, so Swami was pointing to me. When the girl asked you, what did he say? So I knew. So Swami was witness. Then Swami told the other brother that he said he gave some big words and letters, said that I'm evaluating the phenomenon, things like that. So Swami was a witness there. That was number two. Then he said something phenomenal for me. Swami said, you go to the Himalayas for the first time. You come back and you try to explain to someone who has not even seen a small hill. You show them a stone and say that, visualize this is 100 million, 1,000 crore times of that stone. Can anyone visualize this? I said, no, Swami. He said, you can't explain divinity. For me, I realized that you can only experience divinity. And for me, when I walked out of that interview room, the marketing student in me walked with a lot of clarity that I don't need to sell the Sai phenomenon. But more important to me, for me, was whatever little doubts I had about Swami's magnificence, his omnipresence, everything got cleared. He cleared the cobwebs for me. From there, it was just a beautiful journey. It was a beautiful journey of spirituality. Now, today, in my professional work, I keep hashtagging hashtag I to V to He, where Swami keeps reminding. I keep talking about IQ to EQ to SQ. The world is talking about empathy and emotional quotient today. But with Swami's grace, today I'm exposed to what it is beyond I to V or IQ to EQ. And I try to promote and propagate in my humble effort about the spiritual quotient. Another beautiful experience that is very close to my heart. Many of us from the early days know that Swami had a fall in the late 80s, and Swami was not giving darshan. Right? He had kind of fractured his hip bone, and he wouldn't give darshan for a few days. Then one fine evening, beautiful day, we got the information that Swami is going to give darshan. We all can go to Mandir. And I was just recovering from a viral fever. So just before Swami had this fall, Swami had asked my other classmate, saying that how is Subash, and Swami sent Prasadam for me, Vibhuti. So I was coming back after a few days, still recovering from a viral fever. So those of you from the earlier days, there was a neem tree as we enter the current Kulwant hall. So since I was still weak, I was leaning against the neem tree and sitting. And Swami came on the upper portico of the mandir, and he was giving darshan. Even at that moment, he was full of love that he was throwing prasadam like biscuit packets and other stuff from the top. Then he came to the extreme corner on the right side, looked down, and then I saw Swami asking something. Tube light. It took a moment for me to realize that Swami was telling me something. Swami was asking me something. Swami was doing this and he was asking me like this. So Swami was asking me, how is your fever? Sisters and brothers on this path, for someone who has fractured a hip bone, somebody, we can't even imagine the pain that somebody goes through. He was still concerned about a viral fever, recovering, almost recovered fully. He was asking me about my viral fever. For me, that is the ultimate love that the Sadguru has for just an ordinary student like me. And that touched me that day. I was also, some of the photos that was shown during my introduction was when Swami very lovingly took us to Kodaikanal. I had the unique blessing of spending time in the 89 summer with Swami at Saishruti in Kodaikanal. And some of the photos where Swami is spending those beautiful moments with us. We had to cut short the trip and we had to leave slightly earlier because we had MBA students had to attend to our work. Work is worship, duty is God. So while the rest of the group stayed back, 6 of us had to come back. We were moving from first year to second year. You won't believe how much I cried that day. I held on to Swami's arm and I cried like a child leaving a mother's arms, a 100 mother's arms. And after we left, other brothers shared when they came back to Bangalore saying that how much Swami was touched that that you cried so much. This is all in 89 summer. But again, I'm just pausing that. I link this to again. I'll come back to this. These two things. Yeah, this is when I was on my trip to Kodaikanal when Swami came and sat with me. So if the Kodaikanal is the ultimate experience when you stay with Swami, but here it was Swami was talking to me, sitting next to me. There is another beautiful experience that is very close to my heart. I'm sure many of us would have heard of it, but this is something that moves me whenever I share this. I used to play basketball. I was part of the university team, both in my first year MBA and second year MBA. I had the fortune of taking the shield as a winner's shield, both in first year and second year. So in the first year, during the match, I pulled my leg, some ligament on the knee. Then they had to be carried to the hostel, and I missed all the darshan thereafter. So I was sitting. One evening, the football match was going on the ground, Hillview Stadium, and from our room on the NX4, that's the my first year trophy. So when I got up, the football, I would have been playing football. So I was missing so much. So I got up, tried to get up slowly, and I thought I'll hold on to the window. At least I'll watch the match. And our team was playing. And when I was watching the match, suddenly there was some commotion behind. Suddenly, one of the teachers opened the door and he said, Swami, Swami. So I didn't understand, why is he opening the door and saying Swami, Swami? Everything happened in a fraction of a second, and suddenly Swami walked in, and I for me, I can't explain how much of it a shock it was to see Swami walking into the room in the hostel, which was not really kept ready to receive Swami. Swami came and asked me, "Eppadi irukka?" in Tamil, "How are you?" Created vibhuti, spent a moment, looked around. And like a breeze, he came in, and like a breeze, he went out. From that moment, it took a few minutes for me to kind of get that. But here was Swami coming to the hostel, coming to the bedside of a student. And Swami at any point of time has hundreds of students. But he was coming to the hostel. First, merely pulled a ligament. Nothing serious, right? That is Swami's love. Why I share this is it's nothing to do about me. It is Swami's love. He was demonstrating. He was teaching some valuable lesson as to what it means to be a Sai student. And as Swami always says, much is expected when much is given. That's why I said it's my always humble effort to live up to Swami's ideas. Now I'll fast track to 3rd January 2011. I had on January 1st, I had the unique opportunity to hold the divine hands when Swami cut the cake. Now something that is very close to my heart. On 3rd January, as many of us know, Swami gave an exclusive audience to us in the Bhajan hall of the Mandir. And when we got into that room, Swami came around. Swami called me, and I was sitting with a kerchief for Swami. I went to Swami. Then Swami asked me, "How are you?" I said, "Fine, Swami, Your Grace." This is the photograph. Then he asked something. Then I asked Swami. This is the time when my son was finishing his 10th. I said, Swami, payanika admission vano. So, I said, Swami, please give admission. Please bless my son with his admission to your school. Swami nodded his head like this. Then he asked something. He said, are you ready? So, I didn't know what Swami was asking for. So I said, Swami, I asked him, what are you saying, kind of thing. Huh? I said, Swami, he said, are you ready? And then he extended his hand like this, right? So then he gave some vibhuti. For me, I said earlier, when Swami extended his hand, Swami was closing the loop of extending that hand. I gave a letter that I was carrying with my prayers and gratitude, and he touched me, and I held his hand. Then again he asked me, are you ready? But for something, I said yes. Because if Swami says, are you ready? Swami will get us ready. I thought that was my thought. Swami will take care. But we all know that very April 2011, none of us were ready to face the worst challenge of our lifetime. Not just this lifetime, when Swami decided to leave the mortal coil. Now, then I fast track to, just few years back when Madhusudan Sai Sadguru, he called us to the family to Kodaikanal. Out of things that he touched there, kind of closed the loop for me. I felt the same loving presence of Swami when we spent a few days that we spent there in the subtle form of Swami. Now, I'll also say what brought me to Madanahalli. When we heard about Swami is in subtle form, this we heard much earlier. When Phyllis Crystal, I attended her workshops on healing. Sister Lakshmi introduced, I'm also certified healer. So we attended, the cutting ties, Phyllis Crystal method, basic and advanced. We heard devotees feeling Swami at Madanahalli. So, some of us friends from Puttaparthi days, we all went there. Coming face to face in that divine presence, as I said earlier, I was very clear that I could feel the presence of Swami. Now, one thing I did differently, I would say that a communist became Sai student in between a student of Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. I made the transition from a communist student from Kerala to a student of Satya Sai Institute to a Sai student. But I was very clear that I will never evaluate Swami. I will not evaluate Swami because it's beyond me. It's beyond the cognitive mind of a human being. I will go by what my heart says. And Swami always has taught us, the communication between us is always heart to heart. In one of the interviews, again, in June 1988, Swami just rotated, I was still new. He rotated his hand like this, created an image of Swami talking to Swami, and distributed to all of us. There is just the exact number. We all know that. There are 28 of us classmates and the teachers. It was just the right number for every one of us. This is a black and white image. Before this, I'm talking about 1988, before Photoshop and other things. Swami created a black and white image of Swami talking to him. Swami said, always talk to others as you talk to Swami, and always listen to Swami as you would listen to Swami. I've learned communication skills as part of Swami's MBA program. I've been always part of leadership workshops and training right throughout my 18 out of the 22 years of my corporate life. I've also gone to INSEAD for that year-long executive education program, then become a coach. Now I work with leaders. I work with CXOs and CEOs. But the masterclass that I learned from there has been the ultimate. If I can talk to anyone, to the divinity within, to that highest potential within that person, that is the ultimate communication that can have. That is the communion I can have. So it's been a beautiful journey. And Swami, what you would experience, Swami has blessed me with multiple. I just shared a few of them here today. There are many more. I can go on and on. I'm also mindful of time. What Swami has given me is that he has blessed me with his presence, constant awareness. And my presence is always, Swami, please be with me always. For a student who was born in a village, studied up to 5th grade in the vernacular, who even when I joined MBA, I was not confident of talking Public speaking was not my strength. Today, Swami has given me an opportunity to become an entrepreneur, a coach for leaders, and I touch lives. And I know when I touch lives as a coach, I know I'm not doing anything. I know it's Swami who's working through me. I know that when I touch, I always tell this to my clients who are CXOs and CEOs of Fortune 500 companies included. I say that I'm just blessed to be a witness of the transformational impact I see in my clients. And that extends to everyone that I work with. And when I say this, I am still a work in progress. I am still that Sai student in June 1988 when Swami said, be a good boy. And I know that this journey will continue till end of this life or even perhaps a few births future when I can actually be acknowledged by Swami that, yes, you're my Sai student. But I know I'm not disappointed, Swami, and that's my life journey. It's been a great experience to share some of my experiences with Swami, the beautiful stories that Swami has blessed me with. I'm grateful for this opportunity to the organizers. And I pray to everyone on this call and who would watch this recording later, let us all pray to Swami that Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. We owe it to Swami to pray for the well-being of the planet and beyond, of all lokas. Jai Sairam, thank you.
Thank you, Brother Subash, for sharing with us that beautiful experiences of your transformation from a communist activist to a student of Swami's institution and then to a Sai student. Thank you so much. Now we have the next speaker, and Bhagavan says, when your heart is filled up and overflows with God's love, when as I see God alone, and in everything, when you experience God's presence only, and everywhere our hands stretch only to help and serve God in mankind, especially the underprivileged and the needy. It is God and God alone you will know that you are living in God. Our next speaker for the day is somebody who is blessed with that rare opportunity to live in God. Brother Sai Prasad Ivaturi is the director of online programs of Sri Satya Sai Lok Seva Gurukulam, overseeing the delivery of free online video lessons, not just for the Gurukulam students, but also for the needy students at large. Brother Sai Prasad is also the trustee and treasurer of Sri Satya Sai Annapurna Trust, which provides free morning nutrition to over 5 lakh needy school children of the rural government schools across India. He has previously served in leadership positions at large corporates such as Genpact, Cisco, and Sony, and most recently as director at HP. His technical expertise spans at areas of strategy, finance, IT analytics, and overall P&L management, both in commercial and missionary settings. Upon divine command, Brother Sai Prasad and his family is serving in the glorious mission from Satisai Grama, Mudanahalli. Over to you, brother.
Thank you very much, sister. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prasad.
Okay, great. I offer my humble pranams at Swami's lotus feet. Respected brothers and sisters, I am here to share about the online programs for Sri Satya Sai Lok Seva Gurukulam. I have a brief presentation to share. Let me know if you are able to see my screen.
Yes, we are able.
Know if you can see. Yeah. Okay, great. So I have a couple of objectives. There are two objectives for this presentation. One is really to explain the importance of both the Gurukulam and the online programs at large, as expressed by Swami. And the second is really to implement Swami's instructions, which is really that if, he said, if any volunteers come forward to, record any chapters, please welcome it. and so on. So, at the end of this, that is really the primary call to the action. But let me start with a kind of a prelude. If you're able to see my screen, see on 16th May 2020, Sadhguru Madhusudan Sai, Sri Madhusudan Sai Swami, had kind of announced the launch of Sri Satya Sai Lokaseva Gurukulam, which is really, in a certain way, a rechristening of the old nomenclature of Sri Satya Sai Lokaseva group of educational institutions, to kind of say really stands for an equal importance to both the spiritual knowledge and the material education, the Paravidya and the Aparavidya. And this is something that Swami always wanted in the overall, the time was right after 50 years of the education mission. Think of this as an education mission 2.0. And during that time, Swami also gave this quote. He said, Paravidya, the spiritual knowledge, takes you towards the divine self, and Aparavidya, the material education, takes you away from it. But together, when Para leads and Apara follows, you can reach God easily. And Paravidya is the front wheel of the bicycle of life, and Aparavidya is the back wheel. Para must lead and direct life towards self-realization, and Aparavidya should merely follow. So that is something that they're going to kind of live and breathe going forward as part of the Gurukulam. We know that education obviously is the fundamental right and basic necessity for every child in this world. And Gurukulam, the aspiration is really to be a world-class, values-based hybrid, which is an online as well as offline education platform, which is reachable not just to the Gurukulam campuses, but to the entire world via the online, completely free of cost. That is the idea. And it's important for us to understand the context in which we are currently existing in terms of the overall education field. India is, it's a very sobering fact, but India is home to 1/3 of world's illiterates in terms of education, the regular secular education, and high dropout rates, limited government budgetary outlays, insufficient schools, for a very limited focus on values-based education, large number of single teacher, government schools and so on, and privatization making it very expensive and capitalistic. I would like to say that this particular presentation has also been adapted from a grant proposal that we did in the past. So a lot of this also has some backup data in terms of detailed research and stats and citations. I'll be happy to provide this presentation at the end of this to the organizers. But suffice it to say that there are a lot of challenges that we have to address towards, that we are facing. And the solution is really a free, thoughtful education for all, which means free education for all, and holistic values-based education, rural empowerment, and community involvement. That is the intent as a solution. That's really the only way to go forward. And that is Swami's way as well. And Sri Satya Sai Lokaseva Gurukulam, also called the SSS LSG, is really a very truly transformational group of education institutions. It is very, very progressive. It is in line with the times ahead, where we believe that a lot of people will be following this model going forward as well. That is Swami's way. And all of us know, many of us know actually, Sri Satya Sai Lokaseva Gurukulam is really delivering values-based education to rural children totally free of cost, free of charge. Many districts in Karnataka, and one in Telangana, and one coming up in Tamil Nadu as well. 24 institutions and many thousands and more coming up. And with the primary vision that it's a world where every child has access to free, values-based, holistic education, and towards that, the idea will have a education system consisting of both secular and moral education. And why our set of Gurukulam teachers and faculty? Because we are in the right position, the good position to deliver to this particular vexing solution. We have decades of track record of selfless service by the Tyagajivis and all other people who are attached to that mission. And of course, we are, needless to say, inspired by the life and times and the teachings of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba in terms of love all and serve all. Now, in terms of the Gurukulam, both offline and online, that are given equal importance We have intellectual, spiritual, emotional, and physical. When we talk about the intellectual, academic, we are moving into the new curriculum called the NIOS, the National Institute of Open Schooling, the NIOS curriculum, which gives us the latitude for us to freely go towards providing the right kind of apara and para, the spiritual and the secular education, and ensures that we have the right kind of balance that we really need at this point of time. And NIOS provides the right kind of flexibility to kind of fit our Gurukulam scheme of education into the overall scheme. And among the many highlights, there's a lot of focus on English, Sanskrit, soft skills, computer literacy, and so on. So you think of Swami actually turning many of our children into really modern day Vivekanandas, people who are really very well versed with the Vedic learning, the Upanishads, and of course music and fine arts and yoga, and yet really very fluent in English, Sanskrit, and soft skills and the ability to deliver and so on. So Swami is really looking at the students of the future who will have a great chance living as divine. That's the idea, right? And of course, what the child gains in the process, physically speaking, sprawling campuses, modern facilities, self-reliance, and simple living, environmental awareness, everything. It's a very, very holistic kind of education. Activities, not just academics, but sports, yoga, and we have fine arts specific courses in music and instrumental vocal and so on. So it's a very, very versatile kind of a holistic education that it's derived. Of course, the academic performance goes without saying, the student excellence and the faculty excellence, the results are there year on year to show as well. Now let's talk a little bit about the online approach. Why Swami talks about the online approach and the work done so far. The global education is very, very fast moving towards e-learning. A lot can be talked about it, but there's a lot of research that has gone behind it. The way the education will dramatically change. And India is one of the forefronts in terms of one of the highest e-learning adoption rates. And of course, the smartphones are increasing in terms of the usage is increasing. Most of the people are using smartphones. 99% of the mobile learners claim that mobile learning enhances their experience. 67% saying people are accessing learning through mobile devices. And by a few years now, most of the population are expected to use smartphones. It's backed by research and fast rate of growth in use in the internet-based technologies and infrastructure. And of course, we are seeing in reality that most of these students are having access to it through their parents, especially in the evenings, both mother and father and so on. And where there are a certain M&B cases and a few other cases where there are mobiles are not available, Swami was very gracious to go campus by campus and said, whoever needs it, let us give the necessary mobile devices. So that has been given as well. Swami's grace totally. And of course, e-learning has been making a lot of education accessible for Ekalavyas in India. We are seeing a lot of great examples on the right-hand side. We have cases of a coolie, getting admitted into Kerala's Public Service Commission while e-learning. Most of the e-learning followed by computers and followed by other sources. Now, what are the advantages of e-learning? Very simple. It's a lot. There are a lot of advantages. You learn at your own pace and at a place. Learners can focus. Easy to know where the student is, staying behind. This is what Swami is saying. Across all the campuses, assess in which camp, class, which subject, which student is lagging, and then take the necessary these things will be possible going forward. We are creating systems that will enable such a thing as well. I'm just looking at the time here. Okay, so of course, interactive gaming like Scream, makes students yearn to learn more. You have, let's try to understand your learning. And the students will do it, and they get instant ratings and so on. Very a lot of fun stuff. So, and of course, in the overall, the increasing quality of the pedagogy as well as teaching and learning. And of course, teachers can spend a lot more time in more value-added, interventions and so on. So that's clearly advantages of e-learnings, personalizations. There's a lot of efficiency involved. And tell that, while the pandemic has pushed the drive towards more online programs, this is what Swami had started. He said, let's start online programs to make up for loss of knowledge and education. It was a widely seen trend that online education could potentially serve children from weak or teacher augmentation lessons. However, what's happening in reality is that many of the online edtech education organizations, you know who they are. They are viewing the current situation as an opportunity to maximize profits by putting money on teachers for recording lessons and selling the online education at exorbitant prices. So the very people whom they're trying to, serve, it is becoming unaffordable for them. Or not, they are not trying to serve. They are trying to make money. And this is what kind of makes Swami also a little unhappy. That this is really a time when we need to step up and really put in our efforts to create best-in-class online classes, which are equivalent to the best that there is, and yet provided totally free of cost. Same as what you see in brick and mortar institutions. And that is when Swami said, let's get started. He said, this has to be, that is his ideal, and he wants to make it happen. And that's what's happening as well. We made some good progress there. Now, what has happened? This was sometime in May 2020 when Swami commanded, let's do it. And very, very soon, people rose to the occasion. Many people, many instructors, many volunteer instructors as well as regular instructors rose to the occasions. Given that we have classes from 6th through 12th grades, more than 100 people came in, and today we have more than 1,400 video lessons which are being published, and many hundreds in pipeline. So the idea is that we are going to provide students of the institution with these high quality video lessons. And yet we also know, it is Swami's way, as you all know. More than 4.4 million children study in government schools. So why not? If it is created, why not give it free of cost when it is available? So the idea is to freely share across the globe, whoever needs it. If you need it, you deserve it. It's the same as what Swami tells, right? If you tell Swami's devotees, if you need me, you deserve me. Same for studies also. Now, but again, how about the, how prepared are we? We have a lot of technology, really, actually. We have some good, generous computer labs that Swami is continuously filling across all the campuses. That is really happening. And of course, who does not know about the HP World on Wheels? I've been an ex-HP person, but it's a digital inclusion bus. You can see some of the pictures inside. It enables you to kind of record the classes and deliver classes and so on. So we are using the best of the technology that is available in the market to provide very, very high quality. And of course, Sanatana Vani, our team is there. Suchetan and his team are also doing human service in terms of post-production quality enhancements and things like that. Now, just to kind of, what is the work done so far? We have gathered volunteers over about 100. Thanks to Swami, he inspired everybody to rise to the occasion. So many people came in, administrators of campuses, teachers from all the campuses, audio video teams, Sanatana Vani, information technology, ashram interns, ashram residents, students, Annapurna teams. Everybody came forward. We set up a really good project, processes, systems, governance, lesson plans, venues, recordings, schedules, brands, and standardizations, logo. Swami gave the logo, and he was giving instructions very, very sukshma, very, very detailed way. Review committees to ensure quality, audio, video. We created the Gurukulam lesson tracker through a Zoho platform. Set a cloud-based platform to track and monitor progress and workflow of the lessons, because it's a very complex multidimensional operation of production, which involves so many people, right from technicians to pre and post production to the teachers and so on. We had help desk kiosks, PPTs and video edits. We started various organizations for collaborations. Perhaps many organizations came forward and said, why don't you use some material that we already have? So we gratefully received it. And then we kind of created structured roles, right? We kind of created out of nothing, instructors, proofreaders, camera technicians, video editors, subject reviewers, steering committee, all kinds of things. We created delivery channels, Swami's Grace, YouTube channel, Swami inaugurated it, Gurukulam app, videos, and so on. Established a committee of external subject reviewers. They thought that it's easier to have a lot of external reviewers. So some of you who are willing to volunteer can also come forward in this function. We commence the recordings with volunteers and resources from various other departments also. And we are constantly evaluating investments in terms of IT technical equipment, audio video equipment, human resources, studio infrastructure, and so on. Now, here is the cherry of everything, really. It's kind of the highlight of what has been achieved so far. Online programs, the Gurukulam YouTube channel, for example, it's an indication of the kind of, there are 17,000 subscribers. We don't have that many students, but there are a lot more who are really subscribing very actively, and they're growing steadily month on month. 1,400 publicly viewable video lessons, 14 lakh views. Oh my goodness, this is something that we really did not even expect, that kind of a response. And Swami was really, really, really happy about it all. I mean, when one of our team members showed it to Swami, he was saying, how come, and he was really very proud of it when he gave a speech on that day. Steady growth in new subscriptions, subscribers getting notification when every new video is done. Facebook is also there. Everything is, so we've got the social media channels aligned. Now, meanwhile, some input started from a team which we created within our online classes team. It's called G-Test, Gurukulam Teacher Enrichment Support Team Charter. It is a mixture of our technical support team as well as a few alumni. Prashanti Goswami, I hope she's in the call. Janani Balaji is here. And then Archana, basically she a professional trainer herself. They applied themselves to how do you improve the pedagogy through both offline and online and deliver the high quality, both content as well as increasing and improving the delivery of teachers, because teachers are coming from all kinds of background. So how do you create a common minimum program to improve the quality? Just because we are giving free, and also because we are giving a global strength, we want to ensure that it has to be the world class. That's the idea. A good student is an offering that every good teacher makes to the nation. So what's the mission of this particular sub-team? Empowering young minds to develop strong character and human values, to create engaging and comprehensive learning content, a culmination of Apara and Paravidya. So how do you get the best of both the Para and Apara and deliver so that students are really enjoying it? Because here, the online, you have the visual, oral, read, write, as well as kinesthetic. There is a lot of research that is being done, which these people are also very well aware. They have several years of experience in delivering this kind of learning visual aids and so on. So what are the 6 facets of teacher enrichment according to them, and which we are doing? Core content, relatable illustrations, value adders, how do you incorporate human values seamlessly? Did you knows, games and activities, and then thought provokers. And so you see that a lot of these facets are baked in our lessons. And many of them have done this kind of projects in the past in terms of e-learning modules creation under Swami's umbrella only. So we know we are enriched by that kind of experience that has been pumped in to make the best quality content as well. But then, towards the end, I would say a lot of work and investments are still ahead of us. A lot of things are there. We need to establish the best-in-class process in terms of video production, hire full-time resources who can take accountability. Some of these volunteers could be converted full-time, complete all video lessons which are aligned to the NIOs. We have close to, many thousands of chapters and so on. So which need to be done. We have to establish collaborations with like-minded organizations, who can provide material or expertise, identify more venues for recording, invest in critical technical expertise, and so on. And then internet bandwidth, servers, digital boards, computing devices, operating systems, software licenses, cameras, large storage devices. And then, we need to construct a very full-blown recording studio that Suchetan is working on, recording studios, editing rooms, mastering rooms, acoustics, power equipment, furniture, not for this project, but many, many other projects going forward. And expand categories. We are also doing spiritual, moral sections. The music section has started. Yoga section has started. Bhagavad Gitas are all already ongoing. We'll all be incorporating NIS curriculum, special topics by experts. Anybody, Swami said, any experts come, they want to give any professional certifications or any one-time lessons also, please welcome them and accept there and incorporate. That is what Swami has told us also. Develop a plan to engage beneficiary students to seek active feedback. Ultimately, the idea is that there needs to be a feedback loop where the students have to come back and say, how are they finding it? And how can we continuously improve and continue to develop the various delivery channels and benchmark. This is Swami's thing. He said, create a world's #1 app. So how do you benchmark systematically against other apps and systematically go towards making it the world-class app? So finally, what is the help required? What does it make to put it all together for all of us? Well, there are many, many, many ways to volunteer. It's as I said, a very, very complex project that is keeping on expanding. So you can leverage any of your capabilities, either capabilities that you already have or that you would like to learn in the process, or you think you have the potential to learn and very quickly go. First things first, if you think that you can learn a few chapters, these are 6th, 7th, and 8th class in English medium. If you think that you are particularly good at maths or science or social or English or Sanskrit or Kannada or Hindi, you can record a few. You can come forward. We'll allocate a few chapters. You can record in the comfort of your home as well. We will train how to do it. How do you get the right kind of quality lighting, the templates and all that. We'll provide it to you. You can come forward and do that. If you think you have any specialized skills like content writing, editing, videography, editing, graphic designing, social media management, especially web portal creation. We have sslsg.org, and we also have a mobile app development. If you think you have some of those things, please come forward, and we will be happy to, gratefully take your help on an ongoing basis. So to summarize, ways to engage. Volunteers can come and record a few chapters. Institutions or individuals may submit sponsoring equipments, cameras, internet storage. These are naturally very expensive stuff. And animation. We need animators, we need graphic designers, we need illustrators, website designers, mobile app developers. If you think that you have some of these, or UX, UI, all of this, please come forward. Support the building of a video studio or provide access. General sponsorship support for the Gurukulam activities in general. I'll skip this slide. It's a kind of a laundry list of all the equipment and resources. As I said, I will provide this presentation to whoever are interested, the organizers, and they can give you. But these are all things that are really required here and now. Programmers, Zoho, Python, data entry operations, PowerPoint creators. PowerPoint creators, very, very well required. Video editors and any kind of other operations people that we can actually, if you have the time and availability, and we can get you the expertise and capability as well. And finally, Sloka Seva Gurukulam is actively developing a state-of-art mobile app for its education mission. Many, many features are there. You can go through. I mean, Swami wants to ensure that this app can provide assessments in the app itself instead of a regular paper or something, and identify assessment opportunities where interventions are required. Ability to share the results with the peers. Ability to print a certificate. All of these things, you can go to Swami's discourse on 16th May 2020. He articulated and enunciated a widespreading vision towards it. And along the way, he has been giving a lot of, kind of expertise and guidance and so on. So you can look at that particular 16th May 2020 speech as well. And Guru Purnima of 2020 speech also has many of the vision that he has articulated in this project. As you can see, there are many very detailed app features, very good quality, and the app development is underway. If you think that you have app development capabilities, feel free to come forward. Apps prototype link is there in this link below, and we can also post on a chat as well. This is something that Janani sister was talking about. She talks about Facetathon. She's one of the G-Test, the Gurukulam Teacher Enhancement Support Team. She's kind of a marathon and for reviewers and editors, content creators and teachers, illustrators and PPT experts and so on. And perhaps she can unmute herself later during the Q&A and maybe can talk about it as well. And this is Swami's words. Swami talked a lot about many other things about for Gurukulam, but he kind of, in a nutshell, says, Sri Satyasai Lokaseva Gurukulam is really about delivering the best of the education in the best way possible, in the possible way, to bring out the best out of our students for the best of the world. That is really, and embedded in each of the sentence, possible way, online, offline, hybrid, best of the education, bring out the best of the students, people who are lokar hite rataha, just go engaged in the good of the world for the best of the world. So many sarva jnana pasampanna, all the best qualities are embedded in the students, and all the things come in. That is really what is Swami's mission and vision in this. Finally, we'll end with the really Swami has given some amazing opportunities, and he has chosen all of us in this beautiful path. And this Swami has talked about big things that are going to happen in this thing. We just have to sit on the boat and let it flow. And Swami will take us to bigger and bigger things. Not take us, but take the world also. So thank you very much, Swami, for this beautiful opportunity. For more information, there are many things. You can reach us through the website, LSG, through our email, through our mobile app. We have our YouTube channel. We have our phone number as well. So there are many ways that we can reach out. With that, it is about, I think I've been given time till 6:20. I think it's about 6:18. So I think this is a good place to stop. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Gautam, brother.
One question to Prasad, brother. So currently the app is only for the Android, am I right? It's not there for iOS.
That is correct. So Swami said, okay, start with the Android. Many of our students, but there is the PR has it. Eventually, there will be for the Apple. Right now, it is only for Android.
Okay. If any of you have any questions, you could type them in the chat box, and our guest speakers will be more than happy to address.
Thank you, Brother Sai Prasad, for that elaborate, giving us an elaborate picture on how much huge efforts you are putting at the back end to deliver this free online classes, not just for our students, but obviously many students might be benefiting from this. Sairam.
Thank you, Sairam.
So if we don't have any, yeah.
I think Janani has a few think about the Gurukulam test.
Yeah, Sister Janani, if you are there.
Yeah, Sairam to everyone.
Sairam, please go ahead.
Yeah, I would request, please, brother, to just share that particular slide, what we were talking about.
Janani, can you be a little more louder?
Yeah, sure. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes. Can we have that particular slide, brother, which you just shared? Yeah, maybe the help required slide, yes. Yes. Sairam to everyone. So as brother Sai Prasad clearly, illustrated everything to us. So the G test is mainly, trying to enrich the content of the videos, by including various teaching aids, and also the motto is to make the class more interesting, and at the same time, capture the attention span of the children, which we all know that it's very, very less, right, in today's age. So that is why mainly the facets, all the 6 facets actually make the content more interesting. We include a lot of outside the text, content also, and at the same time we include some stories to add value seamlessly into the subject. So basically, where we can pitch in, as wherever we can pitch in, as brother said, if we are able to, if we can make videos that can, that can give all these, contents and give a very interesting video, then that would be a great start to it. So basically, we are planning to do something called a facetathon, where we will have one of us as content creators who will collaborate with the current teacher who's handling that particular subject. So the content creator and the teacher basically, forms the content of that particular chapter, and the illustrator and the PPT expert kind of aids the content creators. Like once they prepare the PPT expert will be, adding the technical aspect to it to make the PPT look visually good. And the illustrators are those who will be maybe drawing images for us. For instance, we have copyright issues with many images which we cannot take from the Google right away. So these illustrators kind of, draw and give us the pictures, whatever is relevant for that particular chapter. And, we can include those pictures and make the content more visually enriching. So the content creators basically will be given a basic, brainstorming about the 6 facets, what we are talking about. And they can then proceed to just read the chapter and create the content and make the videos also themselves. We have something called Active Presenter app, which allows us to make videos from wherever we are. It's not required right now that we have to come to the ashram or, a particular place to make these videos. We can make it from the comfort of our homes with the Active Presenter app, with just our, face as an insert, and the main PPT being the, content. So the help required is wherever possible. If any of us are in education field, or not even required, if we are confident to make some videos of any subject which we are comfortable about, we can become content creators, or we can, as brother said, we can pitch in as reviewers to review the content made by the content creators and give some responses, as some corrections and things like that. So as such, these are the places, opportunities which we can avail about. So that is what I would like to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Janani. So I request all our viewers, the participants, if you have these skills just mentioned by Brother and Sister Janani, if you know any of your contacts who you think have these skills, please reach out to us, and there are enough and more of volunteering opportunities.
In fact, Sai Prasad brother, you could just share the mail ID if they can directly contact. I mean, the one which you had already presented in the chat box. If you mention, they will be able to, take it up later with you. Yeah, please carry on, Lakshmi sister.
Since we don't have any questions still typed in the chat box, Brother Subash, we are just curious that since you had mentioned about the 2015 Korea trip, and you had started speaking of some incident and couldn't complete, so we are curious to listen to more of that experiences of yours in 2015 Korea experience.
So, am I audible?
Yes, brother, you are.
Yeah. So, for me, as some of you know, Swami had taken Anirudh, who's my son. For those who don't know, he was part of the group. He was blessed to take that. And as a child, he had seen my photographs with Swami. He has heard about my experiences growing up. So I'm sure there is something in him that Swami nominated him for the Kodai trip in 2015. So he was already at Kodai, and then Swami asked him about us, and then he said, "When are they coming?" So then and then said, "Swami, whenever you call." Swami said, "Okay, ask them to come." So then that's where many of you know here that we have a dog for a challenge to leave her alone. Somebody we got from the Gulf. So we got the logistics done and we rushed next day morning and we reached Korea in the evening. So for me, how the human mind works is this right through the trip. There are so many memories of Korea for me. Whether as the photos were shown, Swami sitting next to me in the bus. Before that, Swami is giving us a lot of interactive sessions at Trai Brindavan here in Bangalore, and then Swami's love is like a mother, and that it just goes 10x when you're in Kodai staying with Swami. He makes you eat so much. He gives you money to go and shop a little. Then and Swami would say, go and shop from those those people who are selling those woolen clothes. I think from the neighboring Nepal. So a lot of things he would say. There is so much of emotions that I have. And as I said before, these are all from Kodai, the photos that I've been shown. And there is also that experience that I said when we had to leave early and that I wept. So, those were playing in my mind. And when I went there, the connect was instant. We spent the next 3 days in that, another hill. Saishwati was the first time. This time, 2015, it was another. We were almost like being Swami's guest, both me and my wife, and my son was already there as part of the group, original group, and we went there. We got to spend some time, and we made my son speak, play some song, music. He blessed him profusely with a lot of experience. For me, it was all extension of what I had experienced as a child. As in my first trip, there was a news to us that Swami would tell us we would go with a prepared speech. We would go with a song. Swami would say, no bhajan, sing any other song. So I had gone prepared with a Hindi song. Then Swami would tell us to chant Brahmarpanam, and some of the brightest would forget Brahmarpanam singing in front of Swami. So those are things that, there's a lot of preparation that was happening during my 2015. But, this trip was, Swami did ask, how are you and how was the experience? It was just kind of sit back and just enjoy the magnificence in 2015. It was a very different experience when Swami treated us as, our own extended family in 2015. It's a very different experience. But for me, as I said earlier, you cannot process the divinity from the head. So thankfully, Swami has given so much humility and awareness that I was open to the experience, and that I was overflowing with that Swami's love in the second trip in 2015 at Kodai. Phenomenal experience.
So you could share something from that, bus trip. I mean, that from the olden days, some of those photos which we were seeing.
So one thing is that when Swami would come and sit in the bus, so we knew sometimes we would, students here would know we would make our own small moves, make requests, and kind of get that seat, that corner seat where next to which the Swami's seat would be. It's a small LCV bus, light commercial bus. Swami would come and sit. So once when Swami came and so I had the opportunity to sit next to him, Swami, so that's just like mother sitting with her kids, and you can see we're all Swami students, and there are some teachers and lecturers also. But Swami just having pulling legs and joking, cracking jokes would make us sing. He would play when we were singing and just having fun. And during one such trip, when Swami was just sitting, there was one of my classmates sitting just in front of us. He had a copper ring too. Swami kind of asked about the ring, took it, and then created another ring for Swami, which has that, Swami's face embossed on it. Another thing, I also there is a photo where I'm taking Swami's Arati. So that is perhaps the only time I got a chance to physically take Arati in front of Swami. Swami, this is Swami, that Polaroid camera when Swami would take, and Swami would look at it and make some comments. But this is like we all talk about Swami's love being equal to 1,000 mothers. We actually experience that when we're going around. This is Swami distributing, the previous photo where Swami standing with us. What I'm holding in my hand is Swami posed for a photo for each one of us, and then Swami was distributing that also for each one of us. For me, the enduring memory of that trip is Swami shared about Sri Ram. Sri Ram Navami was during our stay there. So Swami shared a lot about Sri Rama and his the stories from Ramayana. Swami also created 4 small statues of Sri Ram, Lakshman, Sita, Ma, and Hanumanji, and actually gave to one of our lecturers. But for me, the enduring memory of that trip is when we had to leave early, and I held on to Swami's hand, saying that Swami, I don't want to go, like a child leaving the presence of mother. But duty was important. Swami made sure that we leave. There are a lot of things. Swami would narrate a lot of stories from that trip, and he would impart a lot of lessons from that trip. Yeah. Those are some of the things that remembers. And this is, I really want to spend a minute on this experience. As I said, I'm not a public speaker or an orator. That is not me. But this is when Swami made us to do a Kavi Sammelan. And for me, that is divinity in action. Swami can make us not only do public speaking, Swami can do things that we are not imagined in our wildest dreams. Swami make us do. This was when each one of us coming from different parts of the country. We chanted a poem in the Divine Presence at Kulwant Hall, and this was a group photo where I recited a poem in Malayalam, my mother tongue. So for me, the most valuable lesson was that when Swami says, do this, we just have to believe and go ahead. Then Swami will speak through us. Which also reminds me, I can go on. You'll have to stop me. In my, just before Dasara in 1988, Swami called a group of students into the interview room. Suddenly, I felt I was the odd man out in that room. Whereas there was a lot of other senior students and a couple of teachers, research scholars. Then Swami, it took a few minutes for me to realize that this is the group of speakers that Swami nominated for Dasara talks. Swami students are given opportunities to talk during Dasara. And I was still new. It was my first Dasara, 1988. I was not ready to be a public speaker, not at Kulwant Hall in front of an ocean of humanity. I started praying within Swami, no, not this time, Swami, not this time. I was not listening to what Swami was saying. My faith was still not strong, because if Swami asked me to speak, he will speak through me. I was not ready at that point of time. But Swami knows our heart. Swami recognized. Swami said, you don't want to do it. I said, Swami, next time, Swami. And I say this with a tinge of regret that I never got an opportunity to speak in front of Swami in his physical presence thereafter. And I've done a lot of MC as alumni. I've done a lot of talks in different parts of the world, but not in the physical presence of Swami. So why I'm sharing this is, it's not my command on language, my stories. This is after Mahasamadhi. But there was an occasion when alumni meet. I was sitting like this during the program. Somebody thrust a mic saying that you need to speak for 2-3 minutes. We need to fill the gap. The mic is there and I'm projected on the screen and I just speak. And my family laughs at it even today. I didn't remember my body language. I just kept speaking like this because I was sitting like this very comfortably. I just spoke like this. Now that is Swami speaking through us. And why that is very important is after that particular program at Kulwansal, one of the batchmates from science background came and said me that you handled those surprises well. You also did some MC. I am still not a master MC, but there is something that when Swami gives you that opportunity, he takes over. We just need to be open to that opportunity. Yeah, I want to, if I can take a minute more, there is something that that again speaks volumes about Swami's love. So this was when in my second year, my family was moving from Hyderabad to Trivandrum. That was my dad's last posting. And Swami, we had another dog at that point of time. So we had decided the family that she was old. We lived with a relative in Hyderabad because we don't want her to travel to hometown and then to Trivandrum and then many trips there. That's my family. That's my sister and me when the family got an interview. So when we are about to make the transfer, just before that, my family came and Swami lovingly called the family for interview. And Swami tells my mother, Amma, do you know, this fellow thinks more about his dog than he thinks about me. He's worried that, he's worried about the welfare of the dog and he's thinking less about me. The innermost thoughts of me, which I had not shared with anyone, that Swami was a witness to that. Yeah. So, I mean, and today, friends and brothers and sisters here know that we still remain a passionate dog family with 2 dogs at home. Yeah. So there are multiple small incidents that has touched me. Very last experience. Some of you know that I had a kind of an injury again in a couple of years back, and I went to Mudanali. I prayed to Swami. But what was bothering me was that Swami, why this is happening? And those days, Madhusudan Sai brother, now Sadhguru, he said it was a paralysis stroke averted. Swami said. I know, except for my family, none of you know here on this call. And I knew that because that was the answer, that it was something deeper that Swami has averted in me. And there are hundreds of situations where miraculously road accidents averted and things like that, despite being very careful in driving. But Swami is always taking care. That's the last message I want to leave. Recently, my music teacher, I learned music now, just to sing bhajans better at home in my presence. That music teacher told me, I know a lot of Sai devotees, and she's not a Swami devotee, but she says, I know a lot of Sai devotees who are doing very well in life. So I said, yes, ma'am. Shri Sai assured roti kapada makan to everyone. Shri Satyasai said, I'll take, he has assured to us students that I'll not only take care of you, I'll take care of your extended family, not only of this birth, for 7 previous birth and 7 future birth. Swami gives so much a leeway for us to move towards him. That's the message I want to leave. And it's been such a beautiful evening for sharing some of this. Stay blessed. Swami is always with us. Samaste loka sukhina bhavantu. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you, brother. We have a question.
Sure.
The question is to Brother Sai Prasad. Seeing the presentation by Sri Sai Prasad, it is evident that a lot of financial support is required. How do you enable it? Have you approached the central government for support?
So basically, the request for the funding is through many channels, basically through grant funding organizations. So just like how we are doing in Annapurna, where we are applying for various grants and so on, we also have an ongoing grant proposal machinery to do that. which includes private corporates as well as government foundations and so on. But Swami has been actually, to be honest with you, the prime mover. If that is really making it happen, or at least if there is some immediate requirement, and so on. Swami has been, asking for it. Give me the proposal. What exactly is the requirement, and so on. And then, and he kind of is a prime person. So it's not just literally, figuratively, whatever. Swami is a primary source of our funding, so to speak. But of course, he keeps encouraging us to individuals and corporates and foundation grant giving organizations as well.
Thank you, brother, for answering that question. So since we don't
you.
have any further questions, I think we can end our session today. And we offer a collective gratitude to Swami for blessing us with this opportunity to contemplate on his divine glory for this past 2 hours. I thank the team Annapurna for giving us this, allowing us to use this Zoom platform so that this satsang happens seamlessly. And I thank the 2 speakers of the day, Brother C.V. Subash and Brother Sai Prasad, for taking their time out and taking us to a different realm, sharing their experiences both in their personal life and working for Swami's projects. And I thank all the attendees, all the participants. Your valuable presence encourages us and inspires us to conduct more of these satsangs. Thank you all. Sairam, and we'll keep you posted about next satsang. Brother Gautam, let's end the session with the universal prayer for peace and harmony.
Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba Ji ki.
Jai.
Jai Sai Ram. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sai Ram.